Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thirsty Conversations. We got a great host. She's a great friend of mine. Her name is the famous, the wonderful Lea Lukie. Lea, welcome to the show.
What's up, good people? How y'all doing?
I'm
checking my life. Great.
Checking my life.
You're looking good. You're looking good.
Leah's done a lot of stuff. She has a great podcast that's on iHeartRadio. She's been on the radio. She's met all kind of great, wonderful, exciting people over the years. And I'm going to start off by asking my good friend here. Lea, let me ask you this. Tell us about your podcast.
It's really, I don't want to say it's mostly for entertainment as far as celebrities and stars. It's not really what it's about. It's really more so if you have something positive that you want to show or express, that's what really the podcast is for. Now, yes, I'm a little blessed to have some celebrities, on the show because I have great publicists that work with me to give the fans what they need to know what's going on with their favorite stars. But it's really more so about those who don't have an actual voice, who don't have the money or the views, shall I say, to really be on a more syndicated show like, the radio stations, the WCIs, the Power 92s. Mm-hmm. If they don't have those kind of followings, then you can come to a podcast like myself who wants to really hear those and the people, what we call like the underground artists. Those are the ones that's not really mainstream just yet, but they have the talent to be mainstream. They just don't know how to get there. So I try to educate them on how to get there. And once they hit my show, not saying I'm the only show, but once they hit my show, they actually know how to elevate themselves without always trying to, go straight to radios. You have to have the fan base to get it. So I'm for the people. That's what I call it. I'm for the people.
That's awesome. That's so helpful to anybody like trying to break into any sort of business to have somebody help them get there.
Because they really think that it's all about being on the radio. And you could be on the radio, but if you don't have the fan base, they can't really, with syndicated stations like that, you have to have those fan bases because they need to call in. It's all about, ratings with them. So if you don't have that, then you're not going to really get on something that's big like that because they get paid from, how to go with the promotions and stuff like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to go any further. So why waste your time trying to be straight? Oh, I got this hot song and I go straight to radio. Like, I know you guys are familiar with Jeremiah, the singer.
I am.
You get the birthday song.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So with him, he was never on the radio, and people don't understand that. He never, ever, 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 ever was on the radio. And because a lot of people heard that track and they wanted to hear it, but the radio stations never had it. So again, it's all about trying to get that platform outside of the radio. So when you're blowing up in the streets, because it's all about the streets are the ones that's calling anyway. And once they wanted that song and they couldn't get it on the radio, they reached out to him. So it's all about the steps and the levels on how to get it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's so much. The industry is just, you have to know someone like you because there's too many avenues now. There's a million different ways you can get involved. And it's good to have someone like you at their back.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I got it.
What made you want to get into entertainment?
True story, right? True story?
We doing true story. Real thing.
So I'm 42. A lot of people don't think that because I have like a younger face, but I'm 42. And when deep house, like that real deep house, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Marshall Jefferson. So he was a good friend of my mom's. And I was a kid. I didn't really know he was like the man at that time. Because, you had people don't understand it wasn't really hip hop that came out first. It was the deep house, So when that came out, Devotion came out, and I fell in love with that song. Didn't really know it was house music. I just loved the tunes, and that was with I think it was 10 City, if I'm not correct. So he came out. He did the writing on it. He wasn't really the vocalist, but he did the writing on it, and I was like, wow, this is music. Like I love this, and I was young. Y'all gotta remember, I'm 42, and deep house was way before I was even born, right? That's around like the jazz. That's around like the jazz thing when the jazz was really popping. You had the deep house, and of course it evolved into hip hop because that's when they pretty much all coming together. So music caught my ear. Church. I ain't been there forever, but I didn't understand the pastor, but I understood the choir. When they sing, I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about all this time while I was sitting here, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to get more involved in it, and my mother introduced me to him, and I couldn't sing, but he said I could sing, but I was like, okay, whatever. So I was gonna sing. And I realized I don't want to do that. That's not my thing. So I wanted to know the behind the scenes. I wanted to know how do you be able to put worlds like that together, the interviews, the tracks, the music, because that was a bigger thing. It was seemed like it was a bigger uh, behind the scenes for me, and that's how I pretty much got into it because of the music itself, the sound. And you have to have a certain gift to be able to hear a sound out of someone who's rapping. So you have your rappers or your singers, but when you can actually hear the difference in the tones, the music, and stuff like that that they're using to put on top of their vocals, it's a whole nother level for me. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to understand it more.
Nice. Very
That's
good.
so interesting. So, all right. So tell us about Trend Nation, the show that you're on.
All right, so it's a podcast. I'm not a podcast. It's a TV show that they have also on Can TV. I also have I call it my 15 minutes of fame because I have a different spot where I'm the trendy beat coordinator. So I pretty much do I call it like a spot. Like I go like I hit different spots, like pinpoints, like quick, boom, boom, boom. Like, okay, we talking about this, we on this and this. So it's just giving them a recap of everything that happened either that week or that's coming up or anything like that, so they can follow it on their own. And then the show basically has its topics, somewhat similar to you guys, and we discuss collectively. We all come up with a topic and then we go into it and we dig into it, whether we have a guest or not. I know my homie Lawrence was on the show before. Hey, Lawrence, did you tell them? We'll talk about your moment on that show and how you had to do this yoga. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about that later.
Sorry.
I don't know why you didn't bring that up, but we're going to bring that up, buddy. You're not going to get away from that because I think we're being truthful here. All I'm going to say is James
especially when I wasn't even supposed to be on the show that day.
This is true. He actually came to support me, and a host wasn't able to come, so he was able to fill in, and I didn't know. Bro, I didn't know it was a yoga moment. I didn't know, you guys. We never know until the last minute. And he did yoga because I stepped out of the scene. There was too many people on the stage, so they was like, "Lea, we don't need you for this." I'm like, "Cool." So I stepped out, and I felt so bad because he had on jeans and you can't do yoga.
No.
It was a total setup from the start because the executive producer Jabel, she's like, "Hey, Lawrence, why don't you come, take a look at the control room?" I said, "Oh, okay, cool."
Funny.
So I went back there, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay. And now keep in mind, I really wasn't really dressed for the show. Luckily, I didn't have anything too crazy on because, I know I wasn't going to be in front of the camera. So she goes, "Hey, Lawrence, can you substitute for one of my hosts?" I said, "Sure, ain't no problem. Let me know when you want to be on." In about 2 minutes. I said, "What?"
Literally. Jeans. You guys gotta focus. You gotta jeans in yoga.
Well, and it was like 4 adults,
yes,
4 grown people on the stage that isn't quite big enough for all of us to be sitting and stretching.
Yeah. They had him do this sitting
like, wow, so Lea just left, huh?
Right. She was like, I'm out.
Hey, they said they didn't need me, okay? I had on some slacks, so I probably would have been better than that than he was in his jeans, all right? And he did it, though. He stretched as good as he could because jeans restrict, the manly, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yes.
He did like a
He's a champ. Nice.
I thought something was gonna rip because the stuff that they had them doing was not fit for jeans. I don't know what else to say. But I love you because she did it. And I sat back and videotaped it in laughter. But I love you because you did it. Yeah.
Hey, Lea,
so we have fun. We have fun.
Definitely. Let me ask you this. You're doing a lot of different things. What do you enjoy most about the entertainment industry?
I'm still a fan. I'm still very much so a fan. So to be able to interview these stars that I grew up, listening to is always a joy for me. Not to mention, I try to educate. So no matter who's on that I'm interviewing, whether you're a celebrity or up and coming artist, it's all about the knowledge that I've been getting from interviewing these people, and I'm able to give back. I try to tell these artists, especially the up and coming ones, not the ones that's already established because they're established, but the ones that's trying to get where they are to read the contracts. It's really about these contracts. And if you're getting someone who only has $20 in their pocket and they're being approached with $1 million contract, they need to understand it's not $1 million contract. You're not going to get $1 million. Although there are a few artists that get the $1 million bonus. It's a difference. You get a sign-on bonus like any job, right? That's your money. You don't have to pay that back. but they don't know the difference from $1 million contract, meaning you get $1 million to promote, you get $1 million to go out and try to get these sales up and let people know who you are, but you're also in $1 million debt because you don't have $1 million. You know, they're giving you this upfront money, and so you're basically going to owe like 2 or 3 million in return. So when I'm able to educate these individuals and I ask them, do you want to be signed to a major label or you want to be an independent artist and get signed to your own label? Like you just, Lea Lukie, our label, whatever, right? It's my own independent label. So therefore the money that I'm making is mine. Versus if you're doing a major, you got to pay everybody in that camp. So that's why I tell people you're coming in $1 million in debt because it's $1 million that you got to pay back, whatever interest, right? And then whatever you sell in the mind, you ain't nobody really making no real money on sales because you're new, unless you do a show, you have your own. So it's really about the education. If I'm gonna be in this platform, like we all are, we have a opportunity to give back in the best way possible, and this is my way of giving it back.
Nice. That's amazing. I had no idea that it was basically a loan. Oh, sorry.
We're gonna take a quick break. And then we're going to come back with your question, Heather, okay?
Yeah.
Don't go too far.
I'm like, everything.
Conversations. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thirsty Conversations. We're here with my girl, Lea Lukie R. And we're going to continue the conversation with her. All right, Heather, I know you were about to ask a question before we went to break.
Yes, I got to know, because you've been talking about you helping people out and all these new artists. What was your most memorable interview?
Whew. Oh, wow. I have to give it to Letitia. When I interviewed KRS-One, that was an iconic moment for me. You all right? You need some of this water? You good?
Yeah. She needs to be fanned.
That was one of the best ones because I'm a hip hop, fan. I love it. That's my era, obviously, but when he came to the Shrine, I don't know if you guys remember the Shrine nightclub, a lot of the big artists used to come through there, and he was one of them. And the publicist that I worked with used to be like, yo, you want to interview? Say less. I'm there. There's nothing to talk about. I dropped in and everything and came down, and I asked him one question, by the way, which apparently was, I guess, the best question that was asked that night. And I only simply asked him, is how do he feel coming up in a generation of hip hop and then have to hear this, what I call the new hip hop, because it's a new generation. And he answered it with but one of the best that he can is that, everything, evolves. You can't expect all of us to be on the same hip hop level and you're 20 years or 30 years younger than me. And it makes sense. That group, when they came out, of course, and then when he came out, the self-destruction movement was then, and that in that era, of course, it was more needed. I want to say the hip hop generation that I grew up with was more of the message music. Y'all got the train, y'all got to see y'all. I live by a train.
It's real life, man.
Yeah. I'm literally like right here, but it's soothing, by the way. But anyway, so the conversation because he's a teacher. He teaches at Yale as well. So when he speaks, whether he's rapping or not, you hear him and you listen because it makes sense. He makes sense when he speaks, and it makes sense because a lot of people compare the two generations, and you got to stop. I tell people you got to stop doing it because we're 40s or 50s or however they're 20. They don't even know who you are, so you can't expect them to understand your music like we're not trying to expect us to understand theirs. It's just two different generations, and you're not supposed to do that. The homage is when they want to sample your music, which means now they're getting into the real music. And the message music that they had back then in that era is something that we'll probably never get anymore because they don't want that kind of music out anymore. And that's the only thing he had a problem with is that they want to shelve you when you, as they say, enlighten or have that third eye open. They shelf you because they can't sell music like they could back then in those Beat Street moments or, in those, Boogie Down production moments. They can't have that like that anymore. But that man there, when he talks, it's like,
oh yeah,
get the pen and paper ready because
I was just gonna say,
yeah, sounds so insightful.
Love that man. He's super humble, humble.
That's so great.
He's cool.
Lea, okay, so listen, you are like way cooler than I will ever be. Let's start there. How how can I like follow you? How can I stalk you online?
I'm gonna give out my real cell number, and then you. No. I have a few
I was
pages.
like, what's happening?
It's 2-1. No, I'm pretty much everywhere. I normally would say Google because I have a lot of pages, but media exclusive, so it's MEDIA, and then exclusive is XCLUSIVE. That's on all platforms, and then Facebook is my name, of course, Lea Lukie Lea Lukie Royster, or media exclusive. So I'm pretty much everywhere.
You're everywhere.
I'm not on TikTok yet, but I'm definitely everywhere else. Snapchat, you can find it with the media exclusive, and then the podcast is every Friday, which I'm actually going to switch up because I want to do my own. But it's every Fridays at noon p.m. And again, it's just, you can do intellectualradio.com. You can check in for media exclusive, or you can just get with Law. And if I have anything, I'll post it and you guys can check it out from there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely. Well, I tell you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I made that face about TikTok just because it's insane. So just do all your other stuff. We'll never see you again if you do TikTok.
Maybe, I don't know. I might pop it off of somewhere. That or, OnlyFans. It's a type of 22. I don't know.
I think you'll make more money off of one than the other.
That's what
True.
It's all about the money then. I'll probably think about it.
Hey, Lea, I'm so glad that you're on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Being that this show is Thirsty Conversations, Kristen, why don't you tell Lea and the rest of our viewing audience here, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah, so I mean, the big story across the country at this point is the Derek Chauvin trial for the George Floyd murder. I guess, what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel, I mean, I have many myself, but I mean, do you feel it's a fair trial? Do you think the prosecution is doing what they need to do? How do you feel about the defense? Just all of it.
That's a great topic, by the way, guys. I just want y'all to know that. It's probably going to fuel me real quick. I'll probably go from 0 to 100 in like 6 seconds.
I'm with you.
First off, it's a very unfortunate situation, like most of them have been when it comes to abuse of power. I'm not going to narc police officers because I have some in my family, but I will say they could do better. In his case, it's very unfortunate. I know at one point they was trying to claim that his heart disease was the reason he passed, and then they wanted to go on to say some fentanyl, basically the medicine that he was taking for his heart disease is what caused him to die. And I have to give it up. I can't pronounce I want to say the superintendent or the boss that fired him, the police officer that fired him. His name is, it's kind of hard to pronounce, so I want to jag it. So I'm just going to say the one who fired him, his boss. I was grateful that he was able to get on that stand and be 100. And he didn't really make it about color. He made it about justice, period.
Policy.
And I love that because most people in this situation is trying to do more of a race card. But at the end of the day, he's still a police officer. So it comes to, like you said, the policies. Hey, look, you could be African-American, or you could be a Caucasian, or you could be a Hispanic. Whatever it is, you still took an oath. That's one. And he broke down verbatim different ranks, cadets, people fresh out. I mean, he broke it all down, and they all still took the exact same training. And in all that training, it did not say it was okay for you to put your knee on someone. And then the examiner, they had 3, and I'm not really trying to rush the case, but I'm just going off of what I've been seeing lately. It's kind of hard to follow it and be as busy, but I try to catch it as much as I can. So the examiners, they had 3. They had the one gentleman who was the original examiner, and he admitted that he didn't put in the actual results that it was a asphyxiation, I believe, and that he just went more so on the pills or the medicine that he was taking. But he also stated, which they all did, state that he still died of strangulation from the trachea. I've been trying to get these words. I've been like a doctor, okay? But I get it, and they were all being truthful, and I like that they didn't care that it was about police officers. A lot of people try to protect the police officers and always claim that whoever passes, it was their fault, or it was this, it was that, and not one so far has came to the aid of the police officers. Now, I kind of wish that all of them was on trial. I believe all of them deserve the exact same prosecution versus he getting a lighter sentence because he didn't really put his knee on the board. No, they all was there. They all saw what was happening. No one did anything. So it's like, hey, look, everyone should get the same pill. But bottom line, but no one is going against the actual results. I'm glad that they ruled it as a homicide versus just a natural cause of death, because that's what we thought was going to happen at first, because that's how they was pushing it. Oh, he had heart disease. Oh, he had this. No, he wouldn't. And then you pulled him out of a vehicle, first off, and all because of a counterfeit claim, $20. Right. So I'm glad that they're actually going, like you said, Kristen, with the policies and procedures. And I'm hoping that they see that the officers, I ain't just going to say him, but the officers were not within policy.
Yeah, I know for me, I try to watch as much as I can, obviously. And then, I had to tape some of it to really be able to see it. But I guess there was a couple of points that I took away from what's going on so far. When it first happened, the thing that struck me, besides the obvious of what happened to George Floyd, was the cold, just, I don't know, it's like he didn't have a soul. He knew he was being taped. There was people yelling at him, hey, check his pulse, you check his pulse. And he had his hands in his pocket, and the look of ice on his face was chilling. And then as you watch the trial and you start seeing, the tape, it was a lot longer. It was 9 minutes and something seconds. And then when you start seeing from the view of the body cams on the officers, it was way worse than we all even imagined. And as a Black man watching this, and I don't mind saying this out loud, George Floyd had the look of terror on his face.
Yeah.
He was naturally scared, and, I don't know what the answer is, but I think, a lot of people say nothing's going to change. We're going to have this, he's going to get sentenced, it's going to go back to the same thing. But for some reason, I think this is different. How different, I think it's too early to know, but I think there's something different about this case. And I think, I think what was meant for harm was actually meant for good, because this rocked the whole world, not just state, not just United States, but the whole world. So I just hope that, we don't see this again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bro, as much as I would want to agree with this, I can't. And the only reason why I say that, you got Breonna Taylor.
True.
I think the worst part about all of this is, and I'm not going to tap too much into, the Trump administration. I'm not going to do that because, like I tell a lot of people, he didn't bring out the racism. He just gave the confidence for people to just be more abreast about it. And the hardest part about it is when you look at these public figures, we all know that, racism hasn't gone anywhere. We know this. We're not even going to tap into that either. Okay. It's just that I believe in the society that we're in now, we're not going to see the change we would all want to see in this lifetime. It's a situation where it's going to have to really hit that bottom before it be able to climb back up. And because they're allowing a lot of stuff, like I said, it went from, we can go all the way back for the wrongful deaths with the police officers all day. You could pick an article, okay? And we're already not even, we're like about 4 months or so into the new year, and they already shot a 13-year-old boy the other day.
Right.
You understand? So at this point, we would love to see it all change while we're still breathing, right? I just don't believe it's going to happen because it's too much dirt. And when you have a lot of dirt that becomes that kind that you can't just mop up or you can't buff out, it's going to have to be completely reconstructed. You got to just take it all out. And because the police officers, and a lot of people don't get, is that police officers are not the ones that their job literally is to serve and protect. It doesn't have anything else. It doesn't say that they have training to know how to deal with someone who's under the influence or someone who's having mental illness, as you can tell. They shot the boy, how many times, and he was mentally ill. They don't know how to do. In the training, they giving them yoga. yoga. You get what I'm saying? So it's like if you're not giving them the proper tools, I believe that police officers should go up on the psych test more often than they do, not just when you get hired. You understand? Continue it as just like most jobs do refresher courses. They also need to do it because their job literally when they do that oath, it's at the end it says to serve and protect. That's exactly what their quote is in their whatever it's called when they get sworn in. Yeah. So if you don't have anything else outside of that training, like Kristen said when he was talking about the policies and the he didn't go into specifics. He didn't say they are supposed to be trained on how to deal with. No, it's because it's not in their training. So how can I become a better officer? How about I get the training on learning how to deal with people of all colors in all situations?
True.
And it doesn't matter, what it is. And the whole thing with the Breonna Taylor situation, you have to look at that as well. They had a call, but didn't go to the right house, so you chose that door. And before you acknowledge yourself, you shot.
Right.
That's not serving and protecting. That's abuse of power because you're able to do it in hopes that you don't get caught. And thank God they doing the body cams now because think about how it went for so long without the body cams. You can imagine how many deaths was ruled just a rightful death from an officer. You get what I'm saying? So we won't see that, bro. And as much as I would love that, I would love it. And I still believe I have a long life to live just as much as all of us here on this panel is.
Yeah.
Nah.
I know.
I think with Lawrence saying the idea of like, hopefully this is big enough to make people want to change. And I also agree with Lea on the fact that, it hasn't made people change yet. I think it really is sadly the accountability thing. Like the body cams, like you're saying, like bystanders taking, videos, which still won't always make people stop. We saw it, everyone knew that they were getting filmed with George Floyd and they didn't stop. So still people will be thinking so much that they're doing the right thing that they'll like, film me, I'm doing the right thing, So like, unfortunately, it's still, I hope and pray that these policies are like stricter and so many things are amended. But also, I hope there's just gonna always be, like you're saying, racism is always going to exist, unfortunately. It's just some weird, I call it a psychological problem that people have. Yeah. But like, it's that kind of idea that needs to be eradicated. And it's going to take the amount of time that you're saying, Lea. It's going to take a lot. And that's sad.
Yeah.
But I hope that with a combination of all those things, like accountability with being filmed and body cams and like policy change and, like just people straight up stop being crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think one event ever really causes change. I do think it is this tragedy and this tragedy and this tragedy. And from this, we've learned this. And then it gets us a little step closer to change. And then another tragedy happens and it gets us another step closer to change. So I think we're going to see a lot of other events like this. Yeah. Unfortunately, but they'll get us closer to change. But I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. And I think, that especially when we're dealing with the society as a whole and how complex it's a simple problem, but it's a complex problem because racism is a part of the problem. And that is something that's, going to have to slowly be, solved.
Chris, I want to piggyback something that you just stated. It's how can I put this? Oh, we're being honest, so I can just put it the way I want. It's politics. Let's be honest. Police officers, they're like, I don't want to say pawns, but we all know police officers don't make much money, right? And they got commanders and all this, and then the commanders deal with politicians. When they have big meetings, you don't see the officers in there,
right?
So you see more of a politician type of thing. Hey, look, it's all about the money, and it's the saddest thing to say, but it's about the money. And when you can arrest a lot of people, guess what? That's money that goes into the jail system that goes toward, so it's bigger. That's what I'm saying. Like we will probably never see it in our lifetime because it's just bigger than the police force. You can get the crooked people out of the office, right? And just maybe things will start to trickle down in the order it's supposed to be to make things better. Until that happens, we're going to always have the injustice because it's a system that's not even that's made up, and I hate to say it, but that's a system that's never been made for people of color because that's just how it was formed so freaking many years ago. Like if you go into the books with 1970, you know, we as the United States, we still behind on a lot of stuff that they supposed to give us within the amendments. We ain't gonna
Right.
talk about that. But like, you know, we're like the what was the last ones that they even got to conceal and carry? Think about it. All the other states didn't had it. We were the last. And then they didn't even put a real structure on that. It was just like, yeah, we passed it. Now look what happened. That's gun. Every gangbanger doesn't have a criminal, you know, background. So yeah, they can go in there and get if they don't have nothing on their file saying that they was arrested, convicted. Yes, you can put the biggest gangbangers out there getting concealed and carry with no problem. And that's why they should have had a stricter policy for it. And now, what is it? Two presidents later? Now they want to. Come on, now you done already got 1 million guns out here now. And that's what it is. Like I said, it's more politics. It's more about control. And until we can knock down the head, you can't knock a body because the head's still gonna be down. You know what I mean? It's just putting on plastics and stuff like that. But it's a long journey. Unfortunately, it's a long journey.
It's a big problem. Yeah.
I'm hoping that at least we go in the right direction, because you're right. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but I'm really hoping that something's got to change. We can't keep doing this.
They need to give these cops real time though. 18 months, 2 years. That's another problem. They thinking, oh well, we gave you something, so you guys should be okay. No, they giving like what's the man? I can't think of the name, but but he only getting a few years. I can't. It's probably gonna bounce back to me. But the one who they just convicted, who dang, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna have to come back with that one. But I'm just saying they gave him a really, really light sentence. Yeah, and that was just like, seriously, this dude, you killed somebody. You was convicted, so we knew you were in the wrong. But to shut up everybody in the media and families, we give you a couple of years. Not to mention you give them parole after a certain amount of years. That's not justice.
I'm hoping that is the one thing, the part of change that comes out of this is that he does get a life sentence and other cops can see that I'm not invincible and there are repercussions to my actions. And I think with that, at least strike a little fear into them. I mean, he was on tape murdering somebody. Exactly. How is that not an open and shut case? The fact that I'm scared that he's going to get away with this and he was filmed is insane.
Yeah.
So
well, it gives too many people an idea that they can do that.
That they can do that. And I'm hoping that he gets a heavy enough sentence that people see that cops are not invincible and that they will be held accountable for what they do.
Yeah, because if they keep giving these light sentences, then everybody feel like, I can kill this person. I'll probably get about 2 years, be out on good behavior in about a year. You know what I mean? And then parole, maybe 30 days. You know what I'm saying? So they need to hit that hammer. Like, boom, you get years, double.
And even if it wasn't premeditated, the fact that it was done, he did it and he didn't care if he died. I don't necessarily think he set out to kill him, but he didn't care if he did. And that's the problem. He didn't care what he did to this person. And that's it. And serve and protect, and you did not care what you did to him. And that's, I
think in all honesty, there's going to be a lot of police departments all across the country. They may not say it out loud, but they're watching very, very closely, because the outcome of this case is going to send shockwaves one way or the other. It's
either set a precedent.
It's either going to be like, here we go, we still fighting this nonsense again, or it's going to be, things are changing. Yeah. So it's too early to know which way it's going to tilt, but I think I'm safe to say that there's a lot of police departments around the country watching this case.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of police officers that's resigning, and I would take that than anything else.
Absolutely.
Just let it all go, get a little pension that you can get, and move on, and let these other people come in that is willing to. But see, you got these new babies, the trigger happy ones, they. And see, that's another thing. What is it that you're training on? What is the actual training? We can actually go down there, you guys, and be what I forgot, like a citizen. You can do like a citizen ride and stuff. Don't think you can't. We can, we can use our power a little bit. But I need to know what I'm serious. It's like you can ask them to do I forgot the actual word, but it's like you can ride. Yeah, you can do something like that, or you can go on there. You can actually do interviews, like ask them certain questions because remember we pay them. Yeah. You work for us. I need to know what y'all out here doing. Why is it that everything is you got to shoot? What happened to maybe wounded or something like that? Why you have to shoot to kill? SWAT is the only people that are allowed to shoot to kill because when you bring them in, it's serious. They are they're tactical. We ain't gotta say nothing else. That is their job. Police officer, serve and protect. I don't think they know the difference.
Well, and the crazy thing is, if you look at different countries, and I know we're way bigger and all that stuff, everyone wants to say that is like, look at the stats of that. But like, you still need to, you're still just people in like, you know, like we can't be saying, oh, we're totally different because there's more of us here. No, like in Ireland, and I'm just bringing up them because I know the most about their stuff, but like for years, all police officers have had are ties. So like it's a zip tie basically, and flashlights. Yeah, that's what they have. Like maybe our people here are like our citizens are crazier, but like you know.
We're more out of control with guns. So zip ties wouldn't work, especially when you got people that have no problem shooting back. You know, we do got a couple of rough edges that don't care and shoot you, your cousin, your dog, the parrot. You know, so I get it, but at the same time, force is supposed to be with force. Have a reason why you shot back. Now, we're not saying we want you to get shot and then you shoot back. No, but be in a position like police officer, like the TV. I call it, that's policing because it's just TV. Because up here, it's just a war zone. But when you're on TV, if you notice, they're putting themselves out of the harm, right? They're notifying them we're a CPD, which is the stuff you're supposed to do. And then if the individual shoot, now you can say it's self-defense. But if you just use your power because you're like, I feel like he had a gun. Because not everything now with the police officer is that I fear for my life.
All right. Hey, awesome. I definitely don't want to end this segment without giving my condolences to DMX, his fans, and his family. You're definitely in our prayers, and we definitely wish that the family can somehow heal, hopefully in privacy, because we all know how social media is.
Yeah.
You just know that DMX is loved by a lot of people.
Absolutely. I cried. Did y'all cry? I cried a little bit.
Yeah.
I was in tears.
I have so many memories of partying with his music. I mean, come on. Only good times. Now I'm tearing again thinking about it. He only brought me one.
I was praying so hard that he kicked that drug. I mean, I was praying so hard. And at one point I know he did. And I don't know what brought him back, but I was praying so hard because he was doing so well. Even when he said he was going through the rehab, I was like, yes, let's go X. Because his voice is oh my God, like when he rapped, you hear it. It was just like, I was like, Rough Riders. All I gotta say there, Rough Riders. I was hoping to interview him at one point. Everybody leaving me too quick, so I'm not able to grab him quick enough. But that man, that man,
such a poet. He would make me cry with his poetry, like spoken word, more than like that was like you would dance for his music and then you'd cry with his poetry.
More eloquent than what you'd expect. Absolutely.
You heard the pain though. You heard, those demons. You heard it. Like rapping is different because you got to appeal to the audience. But even in some of his raps, he kept it 100 too. But when he would do his prayers out loud, or like you said, his poetry, you hear that hurt those demons, and it's almost in its own way was one of those cries for help.
Right.
But a lot of people don't always see that. They just, he's talented. He killed it. Like, bro, it's deeper. It's a message in that. You have to
listen
to it. And a lot of people don't do that because of who he is. They're like, he cold, he this legend, but he was telling y'all, he was asking for the help. And y'all didn't hear it or didn't feel it because you looking at his artistry versus everything else. But the man was cold. I cried. I ain't gonna lie, I was a baby up in here. I was red. I was emotional.
Yeah, well, the problem is that, a lot of times, we look at people that we love, that we look up to, and we sometimes forget they're human. You know what I mean? I mean, you could be on top of the world and no one understand your pain at the same time. And a lot of people don't get that. So, like I said, we definitely send our prayers and condolences out to DMX and his family. So we will be right back. Don't go too far. Thanks, Leah.
Thank you all for having me.
Welcome back, everyone. We had a fantastic show. We had some great conversations, some great guests.
Oh, yes. We want to thank so much Lea Lukie R for just gracing us with these stories. I'm telling you, and really teaching us more about the entertainment industry.
Oh yeah, no, she was very insightful. If you want to check it out again, check us out on YouTube. That's Thirsty Conversations Talk Show S1 E1 Season 1 Episode 1, or look us up on Instagram, Thirsty Conversations.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching the show. Thank you for our fans that watched our previous talk show, that follow us all to this one. I promise you, we're going to have a lot of fun, have some great guests, and also have some thirsty conversations that you definitely don't want to miss. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.